Good evening. I am about 30 miles east of Greeley, Colorado, heading for South Sioux City, Nebraska. It's about 7:45 in the evening Central Time. I'm on here today. I want to talk about something. And forgive me if I get a bit political, but I don't think it can be helped at this point. You know, we've had these non-domicile CDL drivers that have been plowing through traffic, not even stopping, not even slowing down. I mean, just plowing right through. You look at the guy in California on the 10 freeway there. I mean, he had other lanes he could have got in, but he didn't. That is the way he was distracted. Alright. Then we had the guy in Florida that made the U-turn on the turnpike. He killed, I don't remember how many people, was it 3 people, I believe? There, you know, you look at his face, and he just looks irritated. You look at his face later in the video when he's standing there, you know, and he just looks irritated, like, oh boy, you know, it's taking up my time. And we had the guy in Alabama did the same thing, just plowed through traffic, didn't even slow down. And I've probably mentioned this before, but it's part of a bigger thing I'm going to talk about is, you know, what if these aren't accidents? What if they're doing this on purpose? What if these are terrorists? These are acts of terror. You know, one way to cripple this country is to cripple the transportation and logistics industry. I mean, you cripple that industry, and it slows the entire nation down. Goods don't get, you know, across the country. People order stuff. Food doesn't get to the grocery stores. I mean, it affects everybody. I mean, you know, we all know, right? Every truck driver knows. Every single thing you have in your house at one time or another came by truck. Everything. Right down to the lumber that was used to build it. Even if it was on a train at one time, it still came by truck at some point. So if you do something that cripples the trucking industry, you cripple the entire nation. And I think what they wanted to do was to have the FMCSA and, you know, and such just start putting so many crazy regulations on all truck drivers that it would just basically shut down the industry. But what they didn't plan on was the fact that we have a transportation secretary, Sean Duffy, who's not stupid, and he understands who's doing this. And it's not Joe and Jane truck driver. It's Mohammed and Ahmed truck driver. And so I don't think it's quite having the effect that they wanted. Now, we are having truck drivers from Eastern Europe that are causing accidents, not the same way. They're causing accidents in different ways, but they are causing accidents. That's a cultural thing. I get that. That is an inexperienced thing. I understand that. What I'm talking about are these guys that are just plowing through traffic. You look at that accident in Ontario, California. Horrific. Just a horrific accident. If it was an accident. Let's say crash. Now let's go beyond that. Let's look at what's going on now. We found out that there are some Somalis in Minnesota that have stolen upwards of $1 billion. $1 billion. The Somalis run Minnesota. Yeah, they got some old white dude as governor, but he's just basically a figurehead. Just like they got some young white dude as mayor of Minneapolis, but he's just a figurehead. The chief of police has bent over and grabbed his ankles for the Somali community. Now you may say, okay, what does that got to do with the trucking industry? It's all tied together. It's all branches of the same tree. We are in a war, and we don't even realize it. Not just us, but Europe as well. Not only are we not realizing it, but we have politicians that are allowing it to happen. We have women being set on fire on public transportation. Now you may say, well, that's an American citizen that did that. I don't care. There is a war between civilized people. And by the way, before anyone says anything, when I say civilized people come in all different races. All different races. Not just white people. Okay? So I'm just going to stop you right there before you try to play that card on me. But we are at war. It's civilized people against the animals. We better figure it out real fast. We better understand that real fast. Or we're going to lose it. We're going to lose that war. The Ottoman Empire is alive and well, and it's taking over. It's taking over the government. It's taking over our cities. It's taking over the trucking industry. It's taking over all the important areas of the country, of the infrastructure, of the government agencies, things like that. That's what they're taking over. They're not stupid people. You know, they may came from some pretty barbaric countries, but they're not stupid. At least the ones that are over here aren't stupid. But you know, you bring in a bunch of people from crap hole countries, and I mean, what do you think? They're just automatically just going to become, you know, uncrap hole people? And people say, well, it's not their fault, it's the people running their country. Where do you think those people came from? Where do you think the people running their countries came from? Do you think they fell out of the sky? Do you think they came from another country? No! They came from that country. Those are the people. And I mean, I get it. We have bad politicians in this country, don't get me wrong, that we don't agree with on a lot of things. But for the most part, they are representative of the nation. Whether you like that or not, it's the truth. Maybe not representative of all of us, but they're representative of the nation. Be glad when they get this done. And you bring people over from, say, Somalia, which is a crap hole nation, and it's been, you know, they're still practicing slavery over there. You know, they practice gender mutilation or genital mutilation, on women over there. They're doing things that we quit doing 200 years ago. They have not progressed. Now, there are some people that come from countries like that, and they become outstanding American citizens. They come over here and they start businesses, and they become very patriotic. And then there are some people who come over here from their crap hole country, and they want to turn this country into their crap hole country. They come over here and complain about how much they hate America. Why are you here? Again, what has this got to do with the trucking industry? It all ties in together. It's all branches of the same tree. For 4 years, yeah, I'm about to get political. I'm probably going to lose some subscribers. I'm about to piss some people off. For 4 years, we had people pour into this country that actually hate us. They'll want to turn this country into their country. Or they want to take over this country and turn it into their country. For 4 years, we had an administration that just let people come in, unvetted. And not only did they let them come in, but then they picked them up, put them on planes, and flew them into the interior of the nation. Why would they do that? Why? Why would they do that? They do that for a reason. They got to scatter them out, spread them around, man. They want you to get some of that. Because that's how you take over a nation. We're in World War III, man. We are in World War III. The only difference is we don't realize it. Or most of us don't. And we better wake up. All of us. Black, white, brown, yellow, red, male, female, rich, poor, all of us. All Americans. Whether you were born here or you came here legally and became a citizen from another country. They're at war with us. We better figure it out. Before it's too late. If it's not already too late. And it's a violent war. You may think, well, it's not really a war, it's not a shooting war. No, but it's a violent war. People are dying. You just have a guy here killing somebody, a guy there killing somebody, some guy plowing through traffic, some guy, slitting some girl's throat, some guy driving drunk from, some other country and killing somebody. Some guy shoots a couple of National Guardsmen. We had the guy at Fort Hood years ago that shot a bunch of soldiers, yelling Allahu Akbar. But he was in the military. I mean, they infiltrated the U.S. Army, and there's probably more in the military. Right now as we speak, there are probably guys like him in the military. And somebody gives them the word, and they get activated like a robot. And they do their jihad. One on the shoulder. We've probably been at war with the Muslims since before 9/11. We've been at war with the Muslims since the founding of the nation. The first war we had after the revolution was against the Barbary pirates, the Muslims, the Muslim pirates. They still have pirates. Somalia still has pirates. That was our first war. We went to war with the Muslim pirates who had held, it's open while I got a green light, who were holding our sailors hostage. Just like Rome was brought down by the barbarians. They were different barbarians, but they were barbarians nonetheless. We are at the stage where weak men have created hard times. It is now time for strong men to create good times. We're in a never-ending cycle. Unfortunately, we're on the downhill side of that cycle. But we better wake up. You have a feckless governor in Minnesota, Tim Walz, or Jazz Hands as I like to refer to him, who is just a puppet for these people. He's a puppet for the Somalis. I don't know what more has to happen before civilized people say enough. And I don't mean enough as in rise up and commit any violence. No, I mean say enough and deport people who are not American citizens. Put American citizens who are committing these heinous crimes, put them in prison. Quit letting them out because we have these stupid liberal judges who let these people out over and over and over again. You know, no one, I'm going to shock you with something here. No one has a right to become an American. Like if someone is in Britain or in Australia or in Somalia or in Nigeria or in Nicaragua or any of them other countries, they do not have a right to become an American citizen. We can either allow them to become an American citizen or not. Just like I don't have a right to become a citizen of the UK or Canada, or any other country. I don't have that right. And you know what? You try to become you go to Mexico and tell them you demand that they let you in, and you demand that the government takes care of you and all that. They'll probably kill you or put you in prison. At the very least, they'll turn you around and kick your ass back across the border. Excuse my language. You don't have that right. We don't have to let anyone in this country. We can close the borders completely tomorrow. Perfectly legal. There's no law that says we have to let anyone in this country. We used to do it strictly for economic reasons. You had people with a certain skill that you needed. So you would open the border and let so many people in. You know, back in the day, you know, when people were coming through Ellis Island, we didn't just let those people in. There were a lot of people we turned away. You had to be able to take care of yourself and work, or be sponsored by somebody in America who was going to, take care of you. You could not come over here and be a burden on the system. They did not allow that. came over here because they wanted to be Americans. Not because they hated America, but because they loved America. And still, we didn't let them all in. There's a lot of them we turned away. There's no right to be an American. Now, I have no problem with immigration to a point. But when you just let people just pour across the border, your country becomes the country they left. This is why we were careful about letting people in the country before, because the way it was figured was when you let an immigrant in, full assimilation probably didn't take place until the third generation. In other words, if you let in a guy from Sweden, he speaks Swedish. His son or daughter probably also speaks Swedish so they can communicate with their parents. But they also speak English. By the time they have kids, their kids speak English only. They may know a few words in Swedish, but they mainly speak English. And that's it. By the third generation, they're fully assimilated. But today, we don't have that. Today, we have third, fourth generations of people who still hate America and think they just came from whatever country their grandparents came from. When you pour that many people into the country, there really is no assimilation. Now, you always had Italian American neighborhoods, you know, or Jewish neighborhoods, and you had Chinatown here. True, but these people were still proud Americans. And a lot of times, by the time you got to the third and fourth generation of people, they got out of those neighborhoods and spread out across the country. And they weren't plowing through traffic. And they weren't lighting people on fire on subways. I know that was an American citizen that did that. I know. Again, a branch off the same tree. We let people from crap hole countries come over here and commit heinous acts, and we allow the mentally ill American citizens out on the street to commit heinous acts. Because to be honest, if somebody lights me on fire, I don't care if it's an American or some guy from India or wherever. It doesn't matter. I'm still lit on fire. My point is, you have less of that when you don't have the border wide open. You know, you look at a documentary from India, the way people in India drive. They drive like maniacs on the freeway, and then if they miss their turn, their exit, what do? They just turn around and drive the wrong way down the freeway. I watched a documentary on it one time, and it's chaos. They have one of the highest accident rates on the planet. So then you look at this guy who tried to do the U-turn on the Florida Turnpike. Yeah. What's the big deal, man? We do this in India all the time. We just go the wrong way down the freeways there in India. We miss a turn. Not a big deal. All people are equal, but not all cultures are equal, or not all cultures fit with other cultures. Some people come here from other cultures because they want to live the American culture or the American way of life. Which is, we take the best from all cultures and we make those people Americans. But some people want to come over here and they don't want to assimilate to our culture because they've been told they don't have to. In fact, to tell them to do so is perceived as being racist now. Look, come over here, man. Bring your food. Bring your music. Bring your fashion. That's all well and good. Believe me, I love all of it. But leave the rest of that crap back in your crap hole country. Anyway, another nighttime video. I'm going to be up all night. I'll probably get over there about 4 in the morning or something. Which is fine. I'd rather run this overnight anyway. It's a lot more peaceful. Unless you run into that one guy or woman who just wants to give you grief on the interstate at 2 o'clock in the morning or something. But hopefully not. Anyway, like I said, I know I'll probably piss some people off and I'll get called some names and I'll be accused of being things that I'm not. I'm sure I'll be accused of being a racist and a bigot and I don't know, is there an immigration phobe? I don't know if that's a word yet. I'm sure somebody will start using it. Of course, none of these people know me and they don't know what my family looks like because if they did, they'd know how silly it is to say things like that about me. But, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Anyway, I'm done with my rant. I hope everyone has a wonderful evening or day or whatever. I probably won't upload this till tomorrow. So today's Thursday, December the 4th. There you go. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful evening.